Hey, Positive Vibe Sesh Gang, this is Bob Gager coming to you with the first inaugural Dark Side of the Mondays. This is a video series starting today. This is March 25th, and we are going to do this all the way through April, where I take a Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon song, use it as a springboard for discussion. I started my life coaching business on March 17th, so it's just been a little bit over a week. I've left the corporate world. I am now a life coach, and I'm a life coach in training through Martha Beck's Wayfinder Life Coaching Program, and launched my website, positivevibesessions.com. Who knew that all of the Positive Vibe Sesh videos that I made, 3 or 4 years ago, just as a way to get positivity out there on Facebook, would actually turn into something more than that. So here we are. This is Dark Side of the Mondays. Today we are going to use the song Momentary, Lapse of Reason. This is a great song. I'm not actually talking about the song itself. I'm just using that as a rubric for what I wanted to talk to you about today. Current events. Last night, the Oscars, the slap heard around the world between Will Smith and Chris Rock. I'm not interested in talking about who was right, who was wrong. There are lots of thoughts and beliefs about that, and that's actually what I wanted to talk about today. In the life coaching model, one of the things that we talk about are the 4 elements of the human experience, or the 4 steps of the human experience. Those steps we saw on full display last night, both in what was occurring on the Oscars, but as well as our response to it. And so I wanted to just give a little bit about that. The 4 steps in the human experience. There are circumstances. So we saw those circumstances unfolding last night between, depending on where you start the clock, it was a joke that was told by Chris Rock. If you back up a little bit further than that, it may go back to 2016, different joke. But these are all circumstances. And what the circumstances are just the facts, the actual thing that happened. What happens, though, is the facts and circumstances, we make contact with those circumstances, and then we have thoughts about them. Those thoughts could also be considered beliefs, but we, in some way, shape, or form, make contact with what we observe and then formulate thoughts. As a result of those thoughts or beliefs, then ultimately we have a feeling or emotion about them, and that can be a wide range of feelings or emotions, but they're different than the thoughts themselves. As a result of those feelings and emotions, then we ultimately have an action, a result, a behavior that arises because of the feeling as a result of the behavior and making contact with that circumstance. A very short way of saying that is that there's what we observe, what we think about what we observe, how we feel about what we think, and then how we act based on how we feel. That entire cycle then gets repeated because once we have an action or a behavior, that creates a new set of circumstances, which then again create the cycle of thoughts, feelings, actions, circumstances. Last night, we probably all went through that. If we were watching the Oscars, or even if you watched the news coverage or Twitter clips afterwards, but the same thing likely happened to us and the people in the audience. We observed something. We observed a couple of minutes of an interaction. We then had thoughts about them. We had a belief about what we thought happened, and we might have been questioning those thoughts and beliefs. Maybe thinking that, is this part of the skit? Is this a gag? Are there reasons that the viewership was down and they needed to create some sort of hook to get people in? Regardless of what we thought about it, we then had a feeling about it, whether we were angry, upset. We might have thought it was humorous in some way, might have thought somebody had it coming, or might have been ashamed or disappointed or worried about what we might tell our kids if they were watching that, and then trying to unravel all of those things as it occurred. Based on that, we probably took some sort of action, whether that was look it up immediately on social media to see if we could get somebody else like Japan or Australia's coverage that wasn't bleeped out. We may have taken to humor as a way of coping or creating memes. That might be some things that people find enjoyable. We might have also then been critical. Based on how we felt, we might have felt that one party or another was in the right, may have been justified or unjustified, that they ought to suffer consequences or some feelings about celebrity, whatever those might be. But those actions that we have, the feelings that led to us then posting on social media, asking questions, having conversations with other people, we acted based on what we felt and what we thought we observed. And then additionally, based on those actions, other observations, people responding to us, rethinking and going back over what we observed and trying to wrestle with that a bit. The reason I bring this up is that this is common to all of our experience. For the vast majority of rational human beings, we go through the same process of observe, think, feel, act, and observe. Why do I bring all that up? When we understand the power of thoughts, our behaviors, our actions don't arise without a feeling, and those feelings and emotions don't arise without having a thought or belief. If we don't have a thought or belief about what we observe, then it's just observation. It doesn't make us or compel us or lead us to want to do anything about it. Based on that, if we can zero in on the thoughts and we can understand how quickly those thoughts occur. Some studies recently have shown that we have about 6 thoughts per minute during our waking hours, if you assume a 16-hour conscious day. If that's the case, 6 thoughts per minute, how many of those are we conscious of? How many thoughts are we aware that we are actually thinking? And do we understand the power of those thoughts on our emotions, on our feelings, and then ultimately our behaviors and actions? In life coaching, what we do is oftentimes work with the thoughts, not coaching emotion, not coaching feelings, but really getting at the root of the thought behind those feelings and emotions and actions. And they happen fast, and we're often not even aware of them. If you've done some mindfulness training, if you've done any breathing exercises with me in past videos or done some on your own, if you just sit for a full minute and try and concentrate your mind on the in and out breath, count how many thoughts come up that are not in and out. And it's the mind thinking itself. And it's the beautiful thing about the human experience. What makes us human is that we are conscious of our own consciousness. We are able to realize that we have these thoughts of past and future. But it can also be really tricky, because if we're not aware of those thoughts and the power that they have, then it can lead to consequences. It can lead to reacting instead of responding. And so this is a lot of what we're doing in the life coaching with clients, is to be able to break down what are the thoughts behind the actions and the behaviors that we want to change. Are we aware of the thoughts, and are we aware of how powerfully they influence the rest of our lives? So if you're interested in that, if it's something that you'd like to talk about, I would love to have a conversation with you. I think that what we saw last night was on full display. I think there are a lot more circumstances than, depending on where you start and end the clock, a lot of circumstances, a lot of thoughts and emotions that we ourselves can't directly observe. All we can see are the actions and the behaviors as a result of them. And so just a reminder that the thoughts are one of the most critical things that we have. And if we can be conscious of them, if we can be mindful of them, if we can train ourselves to watch for them as a compassionate witness, to be able to see them unfolding, and rather than being led around by them, instead of reacting to them as they occur, that we can actually create some space. We can create some separation. We can actually allow ourselves the chance to understand and challenge, is the thought that I'm having true? Is it actually absolutely true? And are there alternative possibilities? In the work of Byron Katie, she does an incredible job of being able to break down and understand thoughts for what they are, to be able to create space from those thoughts, to be able to create space for other thoughts to come in. And that's where real change starts. So if you'd like to have a conversation, please come visit me at positivevibesessions.com. Come to my Facebook page. I have Instagram. I'm trying to get all that stuff figured out. It's a process. When we get to the session next week, Learning to Fly, I'll talk a little bit more about what it's like to leave the corporate world behind for now and to start a new business as a life coach. It's something I've always wanted to do. I am blessed to be here with you. Thank you for watching, and I hope to talk to you all soon. Hope you all love one another. I hope you all teach and inspire each other every day, and I hope that you express gratitude for something for which you're thankful. Cheers.